Hey, this channel is about an old man trying to run with a bunch of kids. Let's do a warm-up. Why do we do that? The reason we do it is we want some temperature in the block, in the cylinder block, and in the transmission, and in the rear end. So we drive around, let it get warm. We're going to be setting for a while, so it's going to cool down. And but that way we make sure that everything circulate, and the block needs to have some temperature in it. So that's why we do the warm up. Good morning. It's Sunday. It's the 4th day of the Little Bucks Hootenanny. At Dragway 42. No rain in prediction today, but it's still hot and it's muggy. So no time trials today. We'll just do what we've been doing, and it seems to be working as far as the car doing what it's supposed to do. So we'll see what happens today, and going to start, I'm sure it's going to start early. So I don't know if the big cars got done last night. Yeah, I guess they did, maybe at 3 o'clock. I know the juniors, they called those off with 3 cars left. But they've got a whole new race today. So anyway, that's where we're at today, June 29th, 2025.
So I have 4 tech cards drawn, Jim Pigeon, Brandon Butler, Alan Moore, and Corey Cornell. Jim Pigeon, Brandon Butler, Alan Moore, Corey Cornell. You guys have been pulled to come pick something off of the prize table up here in the tower. So if you guys get a chance, come on up. And a happy sub I see on the table too. Is that part of it?
All right. So I dialed 710, he dialed 675. I had a 007 reaction time. He had an 022. I ran 711. He ran it right on his dial in. But I went across, oh my goodness, went across the finish line 8 thousandths before he did. Wow. So what happened was the tires spun off the starting line. So I don't know, maybe I would have broke out if that wouldn't have happened. I don't know. But we're on to the second round. We just had our first round of no box at Dragway 42 for the Little Bucks Hootenanny, the last day. No time trials, no re-entry round. This is it. and I dialed 710 just like I've been doing all weekend. And the other guy was dialed 675. He had an 022 light. I had a 007 light, and that actually saved me because my tire spun off the starting line, and I ran a 711, and I crossed the finish line 8 thousandths of a second before he did, 0.008. That was my first view of actually watching the guy's front end and seeing whether I'm going to go across before he is. And I thought I was, but I wasn't sure. And I looked up and the wind light was on in my lane. So we're on to the second round on Sunday of the Little Bucks Hootenanny. Well, that was frustrating. All right, so I dialed 710 again. He dialed 625, and he had an 087 light. I had an 067 light, but the tire spun again. I don't know if they're just not putting sticky stuff on the track, or at least in the right lane. I don't know. I tried to move over to the left, get out of the patch that the guy in front of me left, but so I ran a 718, and he ran right on his dial in. He ran a 625 on a 625. So that's it for the Little Bucks Hootenanny 2025. It was fun. A little frustrating there the last two runs because I just don't feel like the starting line was quite the way it should have been. All right, so we'll move on. Have fun.